Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this replay review where I'm going to focus on like very like basic game mechanics. I'm going to focus on like I will try to explain like everything in a very simple terms because I would like to understand it better myself, but also it maybe help someone to escape low MMR. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see, it's Miss Annie. She's preparing for the Grabby tournament for World of Warcraft streamers. And today she got her first victory. This is not the game that she got first victory. And to be honest, I was watching her stream a little bit. She is good with going tier 3. Tier 3 Knights and Priests, which is an ultimate and very cool to play unit composition for human. And let's see how exactly she's doing it. So maybe we can give some advice on the way. So build order is pretty standard. I like everything. I do remember that she had a problem with farm number 3, but 2 first farms are on the way. And yes, farm number 2 is a little bit late because you would like to start your hero immediately, but that's not the problem. That's a small problem here. Okay, the big problem is that we don't want to have 4 peasants on gold for a long time, but Annie already realized, so the downtime was very short. Now we have already 200 gold, and we have 200 gold because we are not producing the first footman, but again, it's only 2-3 seconds, so the build order is continuing. And yes, farm number 3. Farm number 3 is very late, and if we don't produce farms, we can't produce units, and let me tell you, we love to produce more units because we creep faster. So farms are giving you food, and you need to like plan in advance that you need, because farm takes some time to construct. To build, you need to make them ahead. So for example, now we have 21 supply used and 24 supply available, so we can make only 1 more footman and 1 more worker. Early arcane tower to be extra safe is not that bad, and that's also a mistake that we are staying like in one spot. Usually in Warcraft 3 we want to move constantly. So we are going to creep the first camp, I presume, with 4 militia. And that's a pretty big investment for militia, but okay, for example, this camp is not that easy. Let's see, are we going to get our water elemental ensnared? And this water elemental is not ensnared, perfect! When you play Archmage, you want to tank with your water elemental. For example, now we can pull water elemental to the back a little bit because we want to keep him alive, so he deals a lot of damage, you know, and we want to take him away from the melee of the Orc Lord, because you know he's a melee unit, he's not a range unit, but still that was very well done. And we need to click quickly, right? Click. So are we expanding, by the way? Let's see if it's expansion or not. No, this is not expansion, this is a one bay play. So ladies and gentlemen, we are already taking, and we have 200 gold, and we can still produce footies. We are already making the blacksmith. So this is actually nice, I like it. And when we have some lumber, we can go for the tower just to be safe, but the tower is not important now because we don't see our opponent. We are playing versus orcs, so at some point orcs should attack us, but so far so good. And again, I will focus on how to go to knights with one base, basically quickly. I would recommend making lumber mill. So this building that speeds up the lumber extraction, because you have building closer to trees, and your peons, the peasants, they don't need to go for a that long way. So I would make an early lumber mill. So for example, Annie is now making the shop, and I think that shop could wait a little bit, but still we have a lot of gold because we are not producing units. So again, remember, if you have 2-3 more footies, you creep much faster. Because you creep faster, the creeps are not dealing a lot of damage to you, so you don't need to heal. So basically, because of that, I would recommend to skip the shop and just produce footman. So we see that the opponent is scouting us with wolves, and it means that he's playing Farseer. And you know, is he going to do much with those wolves? Not really. We are reacting quickly, and the tower will help versus wolves a lot. So I think so far so good. Now we need to creep something, and I would still recommend maybe a green dot, you know, on the map, because our army is quite small. As we can see, Annie is already has 1200 gold, which is actually not bad because we are now on tier 2. So the second tower is not important. What is important if you want to play tier 3, I would recommend, if there is no pressure, to just go tier 3 after we make second hero, because second hero is the most important thing. After we go one Arcane Sanctum, because we want to start adding priests. And because we have blacksmith, we can even go for one rifleman before going tier 3. But from I saw, Annie, she's really good with playing knights. So to be honest, why not? On low MMR, of course you can make this ultimate army, because knight priest is the ultimate army composition. So actually, if it works for you, it's like if you get this super good army, why not to do it? So that's what I would recommend. Overtowering as a mistake, because our opponent sent only 2 wolves. He didn't attack us with the rest of the army, so it was more maybe even a scouting ability. So I don't like that we are overtowering here, and I don't like that we are not producing. We have 1000 gold, and now we are producing a footy that we could make a long time ago. And Annie doesn't know this map. This camp is too hard to creep. Of course, she can do it, but I would recommend creeping a green dot, and this is where she is going. But as you can see, we have 1000 gold, and we are not producing much. So again, go tier 3. So upgrade your keep to castle. Make lumber mill just to get more lumber, and make one Arcane Sanctum to get some priests to heal your army, because then you don't need to use the shop, because you have more efficient healing from priests. And remember that your Brilliance Aura works on units with mana, right? So when you have those priests around you, they get benefit from aura, and it's basically much more efficient. So yes, and with this amount of units, we are not creeping that quickly, so that's problematic. So again, if you want to play knights, just tech. So let's see when Annie will tech, and remember that when we are on tier 2, we can't just produce footies. Footies are a perfect example on strong tier 1 unit, but in the late game they are not that great. In the late game they just die because they have low HP to like high level heroes and stuff like that. Okay, we are making Arcane Sanctum now. Again, those 2 towers are not that important, and what is also important, we are not spending our gold. So again, the macro. In this game, the biggest issue I see is macro. Of course, we are moving a little bit slow, but that's not the problem. We are creeping. For example, this camp is amazing. Look, only 3 monsters. They are not on that high level, so I would recommend creeping this camp. By the way, sentry ward item should be placed usually in more strategic spots, so for example in the middle of the map. Okay, are we going for tier 3? Not really. So again, I would like to highlight that on like this higher MMR, higher ELO, humans are not going for one base knights. But as we can see, if we are like trying to escape low MMR, we can have fun. And we can place those knight priests, because Inner Fire Knights, Inner Fire is this ability with this crown that gives a lot of armor and gives a bonus damage. It's like very strong ability, and I think that opponent is like probably on this level is not that good with dispelling, so why not to play Inner Fire Knights? And of course remember that the only thing that can break your Inner Fire Knight's dream is air, so flying units from the opponent. And versus flying units, when we have blacksmith, we can make workshop, and we can make a gyrocopter. And when we make a lot of gyrocopters, then we have a nice time. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an item on the ground. We need to pick this item. No, Annie! Okay, she's going for a hero. She's going for the hero. She's hero focusing, and... Okay, that's perfect. The Farseer died, and we are trying to save our MK. And look, again, spending the gold. This is the most important part, right? So again, make priests, make rifles, and our tier 3 would be done a long time ago. And she's doing very fine, even though she's operating with very, very low amount of units. So basically, this game is harder for Annie than it should be. Because in my opinion, if you are just starting Warcraft 3, you should be, ladies and gentlemen, basically spending your gold all the time, right? Because you want to be ready. And look, we are using this tier 3 very late. So again, my advice is go for faster tier 3. And yes, some rifles are okay. And for example, now we should be moving. We should be moving on the map, right? We should go to creep another camp. We should basically think like town is lava. Town is lava, basically. So we can't just stay like that. We can stay like that if like opponent is running around our base and we may have a big problem. But no, we have always scroll of teleportation if something bad happens. And when we have that much gold and we are getting another barrack, that's cool. That's what I like to see, that we can play double barrack. But let me tell you, knights are expensive. If you would go for faster tier 3, okay, so you would have access to knights, because to unlock knights you need to have tier 3 and you need to have blacksmith. Then you would be like constantly spending your money by making knights. And yes, rifles are cool, but they are not as good as knights, priests, and basically remember to upgrade priests, because we want to unlock inner fire. Inner fire is amazing, so we need to upgrade in Arcane Sanctum priest adept training, and when tier 3 hits we can go for priest master. So again, town is lava. We can't stay in our base like that. There is a lot of orange dots. With second hero, you can, when you have double hero and some army, even the army is small, you can creep everything, because two heroes are cooperating nicely, especially when you have priest. And my advice is, at the start of the game, take all of your units in one control group to move, and if you want to control your priest, have them in second control group, but remember to not leave them behind. That's why myself, and people make fun of me, I usually control with group number 1 12 units basically. And of course later, if I have more than 12 units, I split them, but if I have less than 12, I put everything to one control group, and then I do additional group with the like only casters, for example, and I use it when I want to dispel something. Speaking about dispelling, as we can see, Annie is tier 3, and okay, let me talk about this for a little bit. I noticed that Annie, she's not buying the third hero, and it's a very big mistake, because really, imagine that hero costs 5 food. So basically, well, there is nothing better you can buy for 5 food, basically. So if you buy one knight, paladin with holy light is much better than one knight, and the knight is like 4 food. So you pay a little bit extra gold, but you have this unit that has mana, that has hero armor, that has hero's attack. So basically adding paladin is also very good to keep your other heroes alive because of holy light. So I think that because of Annie, she's not buying the paladin. That's a big mistake. And look, she can afford this. 2000 gold and 1300 lumber. So ladies and gentlemen, look at this, that yes, macro is our biggest problem. I like that we have water elemental in front, but yes, this is basically the problem with spending our money. So for example, now we have enough gold to almost make everything, so we need to make 3 more farms and then spam our priests and our knights. And if you want to be extra sure that nothing cheeky is going on, we can add 1 workshop just to produce flying machine if we see air from the opponent. So as we can see, town is lava. Remember that there is a very, very low MMR. So like I know that there is no rush, and I know that we need to put some attention. And look, we are queuing 4 knights in the one barrack, and we are not queuing any knights in another structure. And Annie is power building a lumber mill instead of power building farms, because we need farms and we need the third hero. Okay, and basically why knights and priests are so good together, because knights are in front, they are very strong, and they are scaling very well for their supply. So for example, one knight, I think he can kill like 3 footmen, and 3 footmen are more expensive than one knight. Knight can have better upgrades, because there is this blue upgrade called Animal War Training that you can make in barracks when you have tier 3 that gives additional HP to knights. And basically knights also, like, you know, you can keep them alive by healing them with priests, and they fight for you, and priests are keeping them alive, and you can give them this amazing buff of basically inner fire. So that's why this army is almost ultimate ground army, and of course knights, they can't attack air. As we can see, our opponent has Kodobees that are annoying because they can eat our knights. That's why we need to produce a lot of knights. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our MK is level 3, so let's judge this fight. MK is in front, we have healing potion, we have invul, that's nice, so we pop the invul. Very nice micro by me, Annie. And remember, Annie, you need to spend your mana, right? So if you are on the lower, I can look, your opponent has so many units because he was spending, or she was spending the resources, and you are not spending resources, and you don't have inner fire, you don't have dispel, we don't know. Okay, we need dispel versus wolves. I saw that Annie is pretty good with dispelling, and you can dispel the Hex ability. Archmage, can Archmage teleport? Oh, very clutch TP, very clutch TP. A clutch, I mean, that is like very close to dying. And we see that Orc is tier 3 with, he's playing Grand Army, and he has Shamans that probably will do a Bloodlust soon. Versus Bloodlust, we can add some Breakers, because Breakers are very good at stealing buffs and to use them for ourselves. And as we can see, Annie is continuing building this ultimate army, but yes, we are missing inner fire, and we are missing some upgrades on knights, and of course, I will repeat again, we are missing the third hero. So, what I saw, and by the way, one knight was devoured. By the way, what do we do if opponent like plays freaking mass Kodobees? I think versus mass Kodobees we can add some rifles, because inner fire rifles will destroy the Kodobees. But don't worry, if your opponent is not playing mass, you can still, I mean by mass Kodobees like I don't know, 9. If he only plays 2 Kodobees, you can still make your rifle, your knight priest army. Yes, so now, as we can see, the gold on Annie is pretty low, and so she's queuing 2 upgrades. The upgrade is Sundering Blades. This upgrade is not very important. We do it only if we have a lot of resources. And Gryphons, I don't know if like adding Gryphons here is a good idea because it's slow, but again, when we have that many resources, we can build ultimate army. But remember, there is no ultimate army without this beautiful inner fire ability and without the third hero. Let me check the inventory. So we have Staff of Sanctuary, but we don't have a TP. So leaving your base without a TP can be dangerous for many reasons. And also, even though we have a footman, so for example, in the late game, footman is not very useful, so we can use the footman to scout, you know, if opponent has expansion or not. That's a good habit. And I see that's basically what Tyler one we used to do often. I like we have bought the TP. Is that basically we are not creeping in the mid game, in the late game. So as we can see, we stayed a lot in our base. So basically our hero levels are very, very low. And I see the adept upgrade on the priest finally is on the way, and we want to get inner fire. So this creep camp is ready to creep, and Annie saw the raiders. Raiders are very bad versus knights, so we are happy versus this unit. Because look how much damage knights are dealing to them. So I think that we have a very strong army now. Opponent is the hero focuser. Imagine having Paladin as a third hero that you have access by clicking F3 on your keyboard. You have your third hero access. I like that Annie did teleport out. So very, very close situation here. And yes, let's see if she will go for the inner fire. Opponent is getting danger, and look, there is Bloodlust ability, so you can deal with Bloodlust in 2 ways. You can either dispel it with Priest Dispel, that it's almost online, or you can make Breakers, and Breakers has auto steal, so making Bloodlust versus human is basically a very bad idea by Orc, because we can just steal it And look, this Orc is a hero focuser. Very nice micro by Annie to pull back the Archmage, and when hero focuser is not getting like the hero kill, then he's losing a lot of units in the process. Very nice ability to pull back the Archmage, but remember, it would be much easier with the Paladin. Pulling all of the militia to stay AFK around the main. It was unnecessary, but of course I do understand that we were under distress. And let's see, are we finally going for the Inner Fire? Inner Fire is a master ability of priests, so you need to upgrade them 2 times. And it's basically so strong and it's so cheap, you can give Inner Fire to your entire army. And it also lasts for like one minute, so the duration is pretty long. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see, we have 2 AFK Knights. We don't want to have AFK units. Annie has 2000 lumber. When you have 2000 lumber, you can take all of your lumber peasants and just click them on the expansion. And you don't even need to make the expansion, but you can tell them to long distance mine gold. And if you change your mind, you can go for expansion as well. The fight was really good for us, so we can basically maybe finish the game. But remember, opponent is a hero focuser and we don't have that much like direct healing. Beautiful bolt. Annie is microing much better. And ladies and gentlemen, what is happening here? Knights are coming. There is no Inner Fire. There is no Inner Fire. And again, our opponent wants just to get the hero kill, but he's not getting. And look at this, Annie is like dominating here. So you look at this army composition is strong. We could have this army composition earlier and even better with the Inner Fire and with the 3rd hero. Ladies and gentlemen, MK is getting healed. She is keeping MK in the back. Knights are in the front. Priests are keeping the knights alive. We are not dispelling the wolves. We could do it. I mean, it's just a practice thing. Now we should dispel the hex. We should dispel the hex. Just to practice. And bolt the Farseer and kill the Farseer. Oh, the Shadow Hunter is also good. Level 5 of the MK. It's amazing. And yes, remember that we were able to get into this position because our opponent was very passive and because our opponent let us like make tier 3, very late tier 3 with 2000 gold AFK, you know, not being used. And yes, look how strong this late game army composition is on lower MMR. Of course, if you play versus somebody that can like do an all in, right? So attack you very hard in the mid game and do it non-stop, then we can't go to our knights. But it's about having fun, right? About building this ultimate unit composition, and at some point, Annie will probably should change the strategy choice. But if we want to like get our first wins, if we want to escape this 500, 1000 MMR, that's what we should do. So, if you are watching this, Annie, that was a very nice idea for you to go for these late game unit compositions, but you can go there faster, you can go this better. So Paladin, Inner Fire ability, master ability of Priest, learn how to use it because it's also auto casting ability. So you pick either you have auto casting healing or auto casting Inner Fire. So usually you do auto cast Inner Fire during the fight, you have Inner Fire everywhere, then you change to the healing because Inner Fire is 60 seconds. And with Paladin you just heal your heroes and you did very well, and I hope that you will have more fun, and congratulations today for your first win. So guys, thank you for watching, consider subbing to the YouTube, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.